Welcome, everybody, to the Snapped podcast. My name is Tyler Kluver, and let's consider this a personal audio journal of mine. A lot of rambling, a lot of random stuff, anything relevant in my personal life that has to do with health, fitness, diet, business, being an entrepreneur, and simply trying to unlock the avenues of personal growth that help me find the most happy, fulfilling, and free life that I can live. I hope that you guys can take something away from the show and maybe find some entertainment in it as well. Thank you so much for listening, and let's get to it. Happy and fulfilling, man. Yes. Wearing my glasses on the end of my nose like a grandpa. Welcome to the Snap Podcast. Training has been ass lately, dude. I don't know what it is. I think I figured it out a little bit. I think I was just like I just fell off the wagon with my hydration. Like I just kind of didn't notice that I was drinking like 60% of the fluid and electrolytes that I had been. So I think that's a big part of it. I think another part of it is like work picked up a little bit, but man, training has been not the best. Not the best. And it's just like there's pieces that are good, right? Cuz like every day I do 5 or 6 different pieces, right? When I say a piece, it's like could be anywhere from like 10 to 20 to 30 minutes of something, right? I have like 2 or 3 different lifting pieces a day. I usually have a really long or longer cardio piece in the morning. I have a skill piece in the morning. I have a metcon. So these, I have great pieces actually. I just haven't been able to put a full day together, and it's not true. I mean, that's hyperbolic a little bit. There's been a couple days, and now I'm like having indigestion. It's great. Been a couple days where training's been okay, but man, how do you deal with those days? What kind of mental self-talk are you curating inside of your head, telling yourself? Because that's all that matters in the end, right? And that's what today's episode is going to be about. I'm going to give you a small anecdote from my time playing football at the University of Iowa. Fun little story that unlocked a lot of potential that had previously been untapped in my career as a football player and an athlete back then. And talk a little bit about how I think about self-talk now, but even more specifically, how I approach and process is a big word there, a bad day, a bad training session, a bad day in my world is I put in 2+ hours, maybe 3 hours. And what would make that a bad day? I have expectations for how I want, those individual pieces to go, how much weight I'd like to lift on a certain thing, how fast I'd like to go on a certain workout, how many reps of something I could do or how much I'd like to do. And I have a pretty good idea while still being able to push myself. Oh, excuse me. We knew it was coming. There's a yawn. While still being able to push myself and not, because this is a dangerous thing that you fall into as well. This could be a whole nother episode. Probably we'll mark it down as one. A lot of times when you have expectations and you know what you can do, probably based on what you've done before, right? Because that's our easiest data point to track off of. Sometimes you can limit yourself mentally to just get to the wall that's always been there. This is easiest That's not a word. It is a word, but that's not how I wanted to say it. This is most easily seen probably like with a strength number, right? When it comes to fitness and exercise and training, right? And oftentimes it's really exacerbated by um how like the visual aspect of what a bar actually looks like, how much weight is on a bar, right? So for anybody who's, and that's probably most of you who are familiar with this or familiar with lifting weights, right? The 45s are kind of like a big jump, a big step, right? The first when you finally, this is early on in a lot of people's lifting career. It's probably middle range or a little bit later on for a female just because they lift less. Sexist, I know. But when you finally throw 135 on the bar, that's fucking cool. That feels good. I remember the first time I benched 135. I remember the first time I benched 225, right? That's when you throw two 45s on each side. 315, 405, 495. I don't know why I said 495 because I've never done 495 on anything other than maybe like a calf raise machine in the old Marshalltown weight room. But some people get up to there. If you go past that and you're somehow like a psycho who can deadlift a house, 585, right? These are these visual benchmarks. That is, you get to add another full plate. The biggest plate, you have another one of those on the outside. It looks clean, right? Most people are going to be dealing with the 135, 225, 315. And a lot of times getting over that hump, right? Say your bench is 210 pounds, 215 pounds. And for some reason, to get to that 225, you finally throw on the two big plates. It takes you twice as long to finally hit that because mentally you're blocked. Mentally, you think, it just looks like it's just something I've never done before. I can tell that this is more weight than I've ever had and I can't do it. And until you just break through and do it, right? And that's at any weight or any goal that you have. You have to do it for the first time at some point. Right? And sometimes that's what makes progress hard. Anyway, back to the whole I'm pretty good at being able to figure out based on what I've done, what I should be able to do, including more than what I've done, right? I'm very athlete IQ aware of, okay, I did this much weight X amount of months ago, X amount of weeks ago. With the progression and work that I've put in, I should now be able to do X amount more weight, right? And that just comes with a lot of time of working out, a lot of time under the bar, a lot of time uh, personally programming for myself, right? Just kind of knowing your body. And based on those expectations and standards that I have for myself, I just haven't been hitting the mark lately. I think, and this isn't going to be, I'm probably not going to make one because I already did a review of the second time through the 6-week squat with 20 rep squat program. Super happy with how that turned out inside of the program, right? Unfortunately, and it was last Friday, I decided, okay, I had brought the frequency down to once a week, decided to stop at 325 for 20, and decided that the following Friday, which was last Friday, 5 days ago, would be the day that I go for a new max 1 rep. Right? Again, last time we did this, I took my I took my 1 rep max from about 335, 340 all the way up to 405 pounds. And this time, you would think being able to do 325 for 20 reps, that my max would reflect that. And stepping into this day on Friday, I probably forced it a little bit. The best days to go for a max lift are not the days where you plan to go for a max lift. It's the days where you're working up to a pretty high percentage and all of a sudden you're like, damn, this feels light. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling fresh. Let's go for it. This was not one of those days. I had it in my head that I was going to go for a new PR. I had it in my head that I was going to hit 440, right, on a squat. And I topped out at 405, hit a rep, 385, 365, 385, 405. I hit a rep at each one of those. They all felt okay, but not great. And then by the time, at this point, I'm like, okay, now I'm going to make a bigger jump because I want to see, my legs are starting to get to the point where if we take any more smaller jumps, we're going to get tired. So we went to 435 and it just, and looking back on it, I probably bitched out on it a little earlier than I should have, but if you're going to be able to lift the weight or not most of the time. And this was one of those times where it wasn't going up. 435 wasn't happening. I'm not sure 425 would have happened. 415 probably. But that is not the kind of gains that I was hoping to see. And not that I put all my chips into that basket, right? I think if I do catch myself on a fresh day here, I think I've got the ability to do 430, 435, 440, right? I was just disappointed. And that was last Friday. I spent the entire morning session, about an hour on that squat. And so I felt like I had wasted time there. I was like, fuck, I just did 6 weeks, 18 sessions of grinding through percentage work, right? I hit 75% of the weight that's on my back right now for 20. And now I can't even do this for 1. It just felt all for naught. And that got me down in the dumps. Then that afternoon, I come back. I was already pissed, which is probably why I felt this way. But I went into that session feeling down in energy, not motivated. And ended up having like a shitty hour-long session where I did like 2 pieces and didn't feel like I got a whole lot better. I want to feel like I made up ground. There's so many things in CrossFit where you get done with a day where you do 2 to 3 hours worth of training and you hit, 10 different implements that are a part of CrossFit. 2 or 3 of those, you're, hopefully, and if you're doing it right, and I have been for a long time, you feel like, damn, I made significant improvement on this today. And maybe it's that as you get more and more and more advanced into something and you chip off all of that progress that is to be had, right? The success that you see, the progress, the gains that you see on a similar time frame relative to 2, 4, 10 years ago, the amount of progress is fractional. It's incremental. When you know nothing, you can learn everything really fast and you can make crazy strides. But if you're Tom Brady, the margins of getting better at quarterback are very, very small. So small that at his point, he's at an age where it's more of like, can I maintain this level? I'm not looking to get better. I'm just trying to maintain the elite level that I've reached. And I'm not saying by any means that I've, attained elite level CrossFitter, because I haven't. I know I haven't. And that's probably what pisses me off is like, damn, I should still be seeing a lot of progress. And this is all probably stemming, hindsight 2020, 5 days later. It's, the last Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, these last 3 days of training plus Friday, it's all probably stemming from that squat session. So I need to just suck it the fuck up. Right. And maybe this is why we do this. This audio journal of me processing that day is probably going to help me feel better. Moving into a active recovery day tomorrow and then, onward with training. But nonetheless, I had that shitty day. So how do I process that? You can't let it stop you in your tracks. And I think a lot of people do that. And that's sort of what I wanted to get at today. Um, not only that, but then Saturday, Iowa football happens. We go to the game. That's part of what I do for a job, or it's relevant to my job. So I'm gone and don't get to train like I normally would on a Saturday, right? Sunday, I take off because I'm not going to switch up my training schedule. It just so happened that Saturday this week was going to be a day where we weren't going to get it done. So now I take 2 days off completely. And that has me feel like, and it's so fucking just psychotic to think this way. But when you're grinding as hard as I am and you're putting, you have the schedule and the amount of volume that I put in normally, when something as small as, oh, for this week, you're only going to get 4 days of full training in instead of 5, right? You're going to miss 2 to 3 hours of Saturday training that you normally would get. In my head, it's like, wow, I'm going backwards. I'm fucked. Like people like I'm soft this week. Like people caught me this week. I didn't put it in like I should have. That's my mindset. Like I fell off. I did not get fitter this week. I got less fit. I went backwards. Um and those are, for someone who's super competitive and really pushing the envelope every single day, which is a lot of you out there probably. It doesn't have to just be in CrossFit, but like anything else, could be with your job, could be with anything. Uh like it was one day, right? And I know that better than anybody, but it's hard when it's you. And I think a lot of people crumble under that and say, like, that's what stops them in their tracks. And this probably goes back more so to the person who's trying to get in a rhythm of routine with their fitness and their diet. And they finally have 3 or 4 good weeks. And then that 5th week comes along and fuck, they could only get in half of the work that they planned for this routine that they were going to have. And because they only got half the work in, they feel those same things. Damn it, I fell off. This week was a bust. I didn't get any better this week. I went backwards. And they let that determine their future action. I could have let that squat day last Friday determine my future action. I'm like, oh, well, shit. My legs didn't get stronger. All the work I've been putting in has been for nothing. I might as well fucking hang it up. I might as well feel sorry for myself and take an off week, right? I'll take the whole week off or whatever. But you can't do that. Because here's the deal. Forgetting everything that's already happened in the past, right? Monday comes along, it's time to train again. We got 3 hours of training on Monday, split into 2 sessions. If I feel sorry for myself and take the easy way out and say, you know what, screw it, we're only going to do 1 session today. And believe me, it was in my mind. I'm a normal person. I thought, you know what, maybe we'll just do 1 big afternoon session today on Monday. I was staring down rowing intervals, long ones that hurt bad, put me in a fucking bad spot. Just on the ground, heaving, every muscle on fire, lungs burning, searching for oxygen. I didn't want to do that on Monday morning. But a dog's got to eat. And I know that I'm going to feel pretty soft if I skip that session. And I also know that even though it's going to hurt, immediately after that session, I'm going to feel pretty darn good about myself. The endorphins that were released by that workout are going to make me physically feel good, but mentally, I'm going to talk to myself and tell myself, damn, a lot of people would have folded, but you got up and fucking did it. You faced the music today. How do you talk to yourself? How do you deal with a bad day of training, a bad week? Back to that, forget the past, look at what you have today. I think this is the most important and one of the easiest things that I use. Okay, so something didn't go your way. You didn't make the progress you wanted to. You didn't get the grade that you wanted to. You didn't lose the weight that you wanted to. Awesome. Great. That's tough. Mourn for a little bit. Feel sorry for yourself. But here's the deal. Moving forward, is quitting going to be the thing that does get you there? Is feeling sorry for yourself and taking a step back and taking it easy and giving yourself a pat on the back and saying, "Oh, get him next." Like, is that's not going to do you any good, right? Taking your foot off the gas probably isn't going to get you there, especially if what you've been doing didn't get you there in the first place. The only thing that's going to get you there is having to work harder, doing more. You have to step up to the plate. You have to show back up. There's only two options, and one of them is surely not going to get you there. And sure, the other option didn't get you there this time or hasn't gotten you there yet, but it will. It will. You just haven't put in enough time. And boy, listening to myself say this is actually making me feel pretty good. I'm going to repeat that because I think that's powerful. You didn't make it. You didn't get to where you wanted to be. Shucks. You have two options. Keep showing up or quit. And we know that quitting is not going to get you there. Hey, and maybe you fold or time runs out on the priority that you're trying to, I understand some pursuits are time sensitive. You can only go after something for so long. Maybe it's time to hang it up. And in that case, you have to come to terms with that and have closure on that. But if you're still going to sit back and prioritize whatever you were chasing and say, I still want that, well, then there's only one option that's going to get you closer to that. It's not the quitting option. It's the showing up option. You have to show up because maybe it hasn't worked out yet, but it's the only option that eventually will. And you have to tell you, this is how you have to talk to yourself. I'm good. I feel good. I can't wait to work out tomorrow morning. I can't wait to eat clean this week. I'm putting in the time now and other people aren't. I'm grinding in the dark and other people aren't. The small little things, the consistent behavior that I'm putting in, that I'm displaying right now, it will pay off. I'm willing to put in the work when others take the easy route. They take the easy now and have to face the hard later. And it's just like, if you want success, if you want to grab what you're reaching for, you have to flip that. You have to choose the hard now and the hard tomorrow and the hard next week for as long as it takes until you're hard. You're hardened inside. And I feel like I'm pretty far to that side, but there's always still work to be done. And then you look back after choosing that daily hard and you're like, damn, I've been putting it in. And maybe you still don't get to the finish line, to the goal or whatever you're trying to reach, but fuck, man, that process, the journey, that gets you something that's equally or more important than the goal you were chasing. It builds you as a person. It builds your character. It builds who you are, how you deal with adversity, how your work ethic is displayed on an everyday basis. You got to talk to yourself. And if you've had a bad day or a bad training session, or you ate one bad meal, you had a cheat meal, whatever, there's two options. You either quit and fall back into monotony and be an average, or you keep going. You get back on the horse. It hasn't gotten you there yet, but it will. That's my oh boy. That's my Wednesday wisdom. Say that 5 times fast. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Snapped. We'll talk next week. Peace.